Why he was so good at fighting, man. In the middle of the Jose Aldo fight, I remember looking in his eyes and watching how calm, like genuinely calm he was. I'm like, this guy just, and Dana said it best, he's like, he eats pressure.
He truly doesn't care about any of that noise. And you know what? That's exactly what makes Conor McGregor the most dangerous fighter on the planet right now. While every other athlete is worried about public opinion, stressed about social media backlash, obsessing over what critics think, McGregor operates in a completely different universe. He's built this impenetrable mental fortress where all the chatter, all the hate, all the controversy just bounces right off him like bullets off Superman's chest. But here's what most people don't understand about this psychological superpower of his. It's not just indifference. It's not just thick skin. McGregor has weaponized the chaos around him and turned it into his greatest competitive advantage.
Interesting that in the time where that low calf kick is coming to prominence, and this is also the time when Conor started moving away from the sport, took time off, fought boxing, then came back and had the fight with Khabib, and then came back and had the fight with Cowboy. The calf kick was never in play in any of his fights. But if you look at him stylistically, and this is one of the things, I love DC's detail that he does on ESPN. It's amazing. But when he broke down Conor's heavy weight on the right leg, he leans in like this all the time. It's such a big weapon.
And sometimes he, like you said, that wide stance as well. It's just hard to check the kick from that wide stance.
Yeah. Well, it's a crazy stance for everything other than calf kicks. It's a great stance. Yeah. I mean, he's so good at moving in and covering distance with that stance.
As of right here, right now, Gaethje McGregor is still on the table. And I think that should be pulled. I do not believe that Conor should walk into a title fight, but moreover, I will tell you, and Conor will too, he's not going to 155. Now, the promotion does not yet have that through their head. They are still pushing for Conor and 155. This is all extremely accurate information. So, I think there's a lot of options for McGregor. I really think that if it's not him versus Chandler, it should be. We really should look at that. We fans were promised a certain fight. We fans have been pretty damn patient.
But wait, it gets even more twisted than that. He doesn't just absorb the drama and move on. This man actually feeds off it like some kind of controversy vampire. The more chaos swirling around him, the stronger he becomes. Think about every massive McGregor moment in history. The Dolly incident, the Khabib brawl, the Twitter meltdowns. Every single time the MMA world thought he'd gone too far, that he'd finally destroyed his career, what happened? He came back bigger and badder than ever. Because while everyone else sees controversy as a problem to avoid, McGregor sees it as fuel for his fire. He's figured out something that most fighters never will. In a sport where attention equals money and money equals power, being controversial isn't a bug, it's a feature. And the craziest part? He's been playing this game for so long that now he doesn't even have to try. The chaos just follows him wherever he goes.
Depends you fight with who. If you're gonna fight with Cowboy Cerrone, you're gonna look good. You're gonna be like lion. But if you're gonna fight like guys who on the top, who really best in the world, like Dustin Poirier, like this fight gonna show your level. Okay, fight with Cowboy or like these fights, be lion and that's it, make money. This is smart. But if you wanna become champion, if you wanna fight like Beneil, Islam, Charles, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, these guys lions, These guys gonna show your level.
Now here's where things get absolutely wild. With this historic White House card on the horizon, McGregor's name isn't just part of the conversation, it is the conversation. Every single fighter in the UFC, from unranked prospects to reigning champions, is suddenly doing mental math about what a McGregor fight could do for their career. The callouts are coming from everywhere. Veterans who have been in the game for decades are practically begging for the opportunity. Rising stars are throwing their names in the hat hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. And here's what's truly insane about this whole situation. Even the most respected analysts, the guys who have seen it all, can't agree on what this White House event is actually going to be. Is it a legitimate sporting event? Is it a publicity stunt? Is it the beginning of a new era or the end of an old one? Nobody knows. But there's one thing every single person in MMA agrees on. If those lights come on, If there's a fight happening, McGregor will be the center of attention whether he's fighting or not.
What's next, Mauricio?
O que é o próximo? O que é o que vem agora para você?
Eu pedi Paddy Pimblett na Casa Branca, talvez Conor McGregor tá querendo lutar também. Eu vi na internet rumores que ele acha melhor lutar contra mim, que sou um bom striker e que vai dar show pra galera, do que contra o Michael Chandler, que vem só de derrotas. E eu tô aqui, eu sou trabalhador do UFC, o que o UFC colocar, eu tô pronto.
Yeah, I work for UFC, but of course I want to fight on White House, maybe with Paddy Pimblett or maybe Conor. I saw something about Conor saying that it's good to fight with me than Michael Chandler. So yeah, but I'm a UFC.
And speaking of fighters throwing their names into the McGregor sweepstakes, Mauricio Rua just made one of the Topuria moves in recent memory. While other contenders are making demands, setting conditions, trying to negotiate from positions they don't actually have, Rua took a completely different approach. He said exactly what the UFC wants to hear. I'm ready, I'm available, and I'm not asking for anything except the opportunity to fight. But here's why this is brilliant strategy on Rua's part. Word around the industry is that McGregor specifically wants a striker for his comeback fight, not some wrestle-heavy grinder who's going to take him down and control him for 15 minutes. He wants someone who's going to stand in front of him and throw hands. Someone who brings excitement and violence instead of boring, safe game plans. And Rua positioned himself as exactly that kind of opponent. No demands about title shots. No complaints about rankings, just pure availability and the promise of an entertaining fight. Smart move, because at the end of the day, the UFC makes the fights, not the fighters.
Yeah,
Even though he might not be the best fighter in the world right now, he's the golden goose.
of course he is.
But hold up, here's where this gets really interesting. It's not just hungry contenders making moves for the Rua lottery ticket. Even current champions, guys who are already at the top of the mountain, start doing the math when his name comes up. Take Ilia Topuria, the featherweight champion. This dude could fight anyone in his division and make good money. But when asked about a potential Rua fight, he didn't even hesitate. Said there's absolutely no logical reason to turn down that opportunity. And he broke down exactly why in terms that every fighter understands. A fight with McGregor isn't just another fight. It's a career-defining moment that puts you in front of millions of people who might never have heard your name otherwise. We're talking about pay-per-view numbers that dwarf anything else in the sport. Sponsorship deals that multiply overnight. Global recognition that takes other fighters decades to build. Topuria made it clear that the moment Rua team calls, he's picking up the phone. Because in a sport where careers can end with one bad injury, you don't pass up generational wealth opportunities.
That would be a great one. But what excites me more is the fight with Paddy.
Really?
Yeah, that fight excites me even more. And if they could put that fight in...
And you know what's genuinely mind-blowing about all this? The staying power of McGregor's star. Joe Rogan, who's seen every era of MMA, who's witnessed legends rise and fall, put it perfectly. McGregor's appeal hasn't diminished one bit. Not one bit. Sure, he might not be the unbeatable force he once was inside the octagon. His last few fights didn't go his way. He's dealt with injuries that would end most careers. But his ability to draw eyeballs, to generate interest, to make people care, that supernatural magnetism is still operating at full power. In an era where social media creates and destroys stars overnight, where fighters peak and fade with incredible speed, McGregor remains the one constant. The one name that guarantees millions of viewers will tune in. And that, more than any ranking or title, is why his name keeps coming up for every major event. Because at the end of the day, MMA is entertainment, and nobody entertains like Conor McGregor.
I feel like there's a couple guys who kind of changed the game. One of them was Chael Sonnen, and another one is Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
And part of the way they changed the game was talking mad shit and getting a lot of people to pay attention to them.
Yeah.
And
Which, cool. You know, like, it got them a lot of attention, it got them a lot of money, but like, and if that's what makes them happy, cool.
Here's what makes McGregor's influence even more fascinating. According to Rogan and analyst Chael Sonnen, McGregor didn't just become successful in the UFC system, he fundamentally rewired how the entire business operates. Think about that for a second. Before McGregor, fighters mostly stayed quiet, let their fighting do the talking, hoped their performances would speak for themselves. McGregor flipped that script completely. He realized that in the attention economy, the loudest voice gets the biggest platform. So he became the loudest voice in the room, then the loudest voice in the building, then the loudest voice in the entire sport. But here's the genius part. It wasn't just random noise. Every outrageous statement, every controversial moment, every headline-grabbing incident was carefully calculated to generate maximum attention. And that attention converted directly into leverage with the UFC. That leverage converted into better contracts, bigger fights, more control over his career. Love him or hate him, you couldn't ignore him. And in a world where being ignored is career death, McGregor cracked the code. He turned controversy into currency, and that currency made him the highest-paid fighter in MMA history.
History shows us, when you take like this damage, you're never gonna be same, never ever. Okay, if we talk about Conor, okay, like last couple years he's not hungry, and now what happened with his legs, like never ever, never people come back, and never gonna be people on the same prime twice. Prime come only one time.
Now hold on, because not everyone is buying into this McGregor comeback narrative. And when it comes to brutal honesty about where fighters really stand, nobody delivers it quite like Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib didn't just question McGregor's return, he systematically broke down why he thinks it's doomed from the start. First, there's the physical damage. The leg injuries, the accumulated wear and tear from years of high-level competition. According to Khabib, that's not something you just bounce back from with good training camps and positive thinking. That's permanent damage that changes how you move, how you react, how you perform under pressure. But even more damaging than the physical toll is what Khabib sees as lost hunger. That desperate, all-consuming drive that separates champions from everyone else. Khabib's argument is simple and devastating. An athlete's prime only comes once. That perfect storm of physical ability, mental sharpness, and burning motivation. Once that window closes, no amount of hype, no amount of money, no amount of motivation can reopen it. The descent might be slow, but it's inevitable.
Go down. It depends you fight with who. If you're gonna fight with Cowboy Cerrone, you're gonna look good. You're gonna be like lion. But if you're gonna fight like guys who on the top, who really best in the world, like Dustin Poirier, like this fight gonna show your level. You know, okay, fight with Cowboy or like these fights, be lion and that's it, make money. This is smart. But if you wanna become champion, if you wanna fight like Beneil, Islam, Charles, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, these guys lions, you know? These guys gonna show your level.
But Khabib didn't stop there with his assessment. He connected his entire argument to the White House card itself, using it as the ultimate test of whether McGregor still belongs with elite competition. Sure, the UFC could book him against someone like Donald Cerrone again. Make him look good, sell a ton of tickets, generate massive pay-per-view numbers. But according to Khabib, that completely misses the point. The real question isn't whether McGregor can beat aging veterans or favorable stylistic matchups. The question is whether he can still hang with killers like Dustin Poirier, Islam Makhachev, Charles Oliveira, or Justin Gaethje. Guys who are in their prime right now, guys who are hungry, guys who see McGregor as their ticket to superstardom. For Khabib, the White House stage represents the perfect opportunity to answer that question definitively. Is McGregor still a legitimate threat to elite competition, or has he become just another celebrity attraction? The matchup they choose, Khabib argues, will reveal the truth about what this comeback really is.
God that dictates my journey and all of our journeys, and I live my life by God's word. And since around that time that you mentioned at the last event, I've engaged on a spiritual journey, and I'm saved, I am healed. And you know, on the back of that, the world is in for a treat. The world is in for a treat. My competitive spark that was once in my heart is now a roaring blaze. So I'm very excited. You know, I envy these men up here on this dais. They're right about to make weight, and they're to go in and enjoy and entertain and do what they were called to do, as am I called to do it. And you know, I'm eager to get back, and right now I had to dial myself in and go inward, and that I've done, and I'm very, very excited to come back.
Meanwhile, McGregor himself insists that not only does he still have that championship hunger, it's burning hotter than ever before. As the White House card approaches, he's been framing this return as more than just another fight. This is a spiritual mission, A chance to prove that his time away from competition wasn't wasted recovery time, it was preparation for something bigger. McGregor claims that stepping away from the sport, dealing with his injuries, reflecting on his career and his life, has given him a clarity and focus that he never had during his original championship runs. The fire that drove him to become a two-division champion, that's not just back. According to McGregor, it's evolved into something more dangerous. He's not just fighting for money or fame anymore. He's fighting to prove that reports of his demise have been greatly exaggerated. For McGregor, the White House card isn't just another payday or another chance to be in the spotlight. It's the ultimate proving ground for this new version of himself. The question is whether this reinvented McGregor can back up all the talk when it matters most.
Okay, a special treat in the White House and a special treat in Conor McGregor, which is almost a gift, right? Bread Panty Night is real. That's a gift for somebody. We'll gift this to Justin Gaethje on his way out the door, and he won't mind fighting in a different weight class because he's leaving anyway. He's not coming up the ranks. This is all part of the thought process as to why it's going to be Conor versus Justin Gaethje, but that is also believed that Justin Gaethje was going to lose. Now, you can't say that. When you go in and you start talking about these deals, there's never say, hey, you're going to lose to Patty. So when you lose to Patty, we're going to bump you up a weight class that won't matter as you're on your way out anyway. Like, you can't say those things. So when he goes in and gets the win, it's very hard to unwind that and go, okay, it's no longer McGregor and Gaethje. They're both going to go. Why? Right? Imagine McGregor that already said yes to Gaethje.
Now, when it comes to potential opponents for this massive White House card, analyst Chael Sonnen provided some fascinating insight into who makes the most sense. Sonnen framed a potential matchup with Justin Gaethje as almost too perfect to pass up. Two of the most exciting strikers in the sport, both guaranteed to bring violence, both carrying legitimate credentials. It's the kind of fight that sells itself without any manufactured drama. But Sonnen, being the realist he is, issued an important warning. Once that cage door closes, all the hype and all the predictions go out the window. The fight will write its own story, and that story might not be the one McGregor wants to tell. However, Sonnen also broke down why putting McGregor directly into a title fight could create serious problems for the sport's credibility. Moving him into the lightweight division and handing him an immediate title shot raises uncomfortable questions about what championships actually mean. As a compromise, Sonnen suggested a fight with the loser of Islam Makhachev versus whoever challenges him next. Still a massive fight, still legitimate competition, but without the controversy of jumping the line for a title shot.
Seen on the internet, you versus McGregor.
All right. Shit, give them what they want, not what they expect. I could say some big news. And I can't deny or confirm what you just said.
Even Chael Sonnen was talking about it. And as I said, when you look at Jorge Masvidal and the career that he's had, and then you remember Jorge Masvidal has been a massive supporter of Donald Trump. I think he's spoken publicly at rallies for Donald Trump as well. So he's certainly in the good graces of the Trump family, right? And they're the kind of people that they're going to want at the White House. Conor McGregor versus Jorge Masvidal. That'll be a sensational matchup. Michael Chandler, of course, losing to Paddy Pimblett the way that he did. And then, of course, when you look at the majority of fights that he's lost, okay, it doesn't really put him in too good of a standing, okay? And of course, he's 155. Yeah, he'd come up to 170 to fight McGregor, but he's not a natural 170. And Jorge Masvidal has fought at 155, but also finished his career at 170. He did fight for the belt. He did have the fastest knockout in history. He absolutely destroyed Nate Diaz when he became the first BMF. I mean, if you go back to 2019, that was the...
Building on that analysis, Michael Bisping offered his own take on the perfect White House matchup, and his suggestion was absolutely brilliant. Jorge Masvidal versus Conor McGregor. Think about the storylines there. Masvidal's history with Trump rallies, his connection to that political world, his status as the BMF champion. Plus, you've got his incredible resume, the fastest knockout in UFC history against Ben Askren, the domination of Nate Diaz to win the BMF belt. The wars with elite welterweights. Masvidal brings both credibility and spectacle in equal measure. Bisping contrasted that with Michael Chandler, who, despite being an exciting fighter, is coming off losses and would represent a less compelling option for such a historic card. But here's what makes the Masvidal idea so perfect. Both guys are natural entertainers who understand how to build a fight. Both bring legitimate danger in the striking department. And both have the kind of personalities that would make the build-up to this fight absolutely electric. On a stage as unique as the White House, you need opponents who can match McGregor's energy and star power. Masvidal fits that description perfectly.
Young generation of fighters are going to know you for the way you commentate, the way you call plays, the way you are so analytical about fighters. You're amazing at what you do at bringing the whole story to life, and I think it's like one piece of the puzzle that has to be there. Like, we need Jon Anik, and we've seen you do some other things with the Canelo fight, which was amazing, by the way, which I want to talk about. How much of this chemistry is built off the camera versus on the camera?
However, UFC commentator Jon Anik brought a different perspective to this whole White House card discussion. While he acknowledged the excitement around seeing McGregor back in action, Anik questioned whether some of the rumored matchups actually make sense from a competitive standpoint. He specifically called out the Michael Chandler option, suggesting that while it might be patriotic and attention-grabbing, it doesn't carry much weight in the lightweight division. It might even have to happen at a catchweight, which further diminishes its significance. For Anik, the real intrigue would come from fights with established legends like Nate Diaz or hungry contenders like Mauricio Rua. These are the matchups that would truly test McGregor's skills and give fans something substantial to invest in. Anik's point highlights the tension between spectacle and sport. The White House card could be an incredible show, but if the fights don't have legitimate competitive value, it risks becoming just another celebrity exhibition rather than a meaningful MMA event.
It's no secret, obviously. I want to fight Conor, and I think it's no secret by the things that he's posting, the interviews that he's doing, the number of times he said my name, posted a video of me and him and our highlights and all that kind of stuff a week or so ago. He wants to fight me. I want to fight him. He wants to fight at the White House. I want nothing more than to be wearing the red, white, and blue stars and bars, walking onto the White House lawn and fighting at the White House. You know how hard it is to put percentages on anything in mixed martial arts. It's such a crazy sport, and that's why we love it. But one thing is for sure, Conor wants to fight me at the White House. I want to fight him at the White House. And conversations are being had. I think things are moving in that direction, but we're never going to know when this thing's going to be announced. So we will see. All I know is I'm going to start training here very soon, like laser focused on June, whatever it is. And they're going to keep holding the cards close to their chests as they always do, trying to keep things a secret. And we'll see.
But Michael Chandler himself stepped up with the clearest, most direct call-out of anyone in this whole conversation. He doesn't just want Conor McGregor, he wants him specifically on the White House stage, and he's not being subtle about it. Chandler pointed to McGregor's social media activity, his interviews, even his training footage as proof that the feeling is mutual between them. While he acknowledged that nothing is guaranteed in MMA until contracts are signed, Chandler made it crystal clear that from his perspective, both fighters want this fight to happen and talks are progressing behind the scenes. But here's what separates Chandler from all the other contenders throwing their names around. He's not just campaigning for the fight, he's actively preparing for it. Training camps, conditioning, game planning, the whole 9 yards. Chandler understands that in a sport where opportunities can disappear overnight due to injuries or politics, you have to be ready when your moment comes. And if the UFC decides that Chandler versus McGregor on the White House card makes the most sense, he'll be ready to make the most of that opportunity. So here's where we stand with this absolutely wild situation. McGregor's comeback is generating more buzz than any fight in recent memory. Champions and contenders are lining up for the opportunity. Analysts are debating which matchup makes the most sense. And the MMA world is split between those who think McGregor is washed up and those who believe he's still got magic left in the tank. The White House card represents something we've never seen before in combat sports. A former champion trying to reclaim his throne on the most unique stage imaginable. Whether you think McGregor is done or just getting started, you can't deny that this comeback attempt is appointment television. The question isn't whether people will watch, it's whether McGregor can deliver a performance worthy of all the hype surrounding his return. So here's what I want to know from you. Drop it in the comments right now. Which opponent makes the most sense for McGregor's White House return? Chandler, Masvidal, Geith, or someone completely different? And do you think McGregor still has what it takes to compete with today's elite? Or is this just a nostalgia tour? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening with the biggest comeback story in MMA, smash that like button, subscribe for more in-depth fight analysis, and hit the notification bell because this White House card situation is about to get even crazier.